Good morning. Let's talk again about William Tyrrell's disappearance. I've transcribed the emergency call that his foster mother made at 10:56 on the morning of September the 12th, and I'll read it out to you. When I'm the operator, I'll hold up this feather. It's a cockatoo feather. In the bush out there, there's always noise. There's always sounds of wind and trees and birds, and you're living in an area where people are using ride-on mowers and machinery, or let me just say that. So this is a cockatoo feather. This is the 000 operator, and I'll try a little bit to emulate the foster mother's voice and cadence, etc., so that hopefully it'll give you a good idea of what went on in the call, and we'll take it from there. Police emergency, this is Simone. Yeah, hi, my son is missing. He's 3.5. Okay. I'm sorry? Your address? Benneroon Drive, Kendall. Okay, Benneroon Drive in Kendall. Yes. Okay, I'm just going to bring that up on my map. I won't be a moment. Thank you. How long has he been missing? We've been looking for him for about 15 or 20 minutes, but okay. I thought it could be 5. It could be longer because he was just playing around here. We heard him, then we heard nothing. Okay, I've got the nearest cross street as being Allendale Crescent. Is that right? Oh, sorry, what is it? Allendale Crescent. I don't know. This is my mum's house. Okay. Just hang on. There's another lady out helping us look for him. I'll see if I can find her. But it's Benneroon. B-E-N. Yep. A-R-O-O. Yeah, I can see where you are. Just wondering. So Benneroon Drive in Kendall. I've got your nearest cross street as being Allendale Crescent. It could be. I don't know. Okay. So he's been missing since around 10:30. Yeah, I'd say so. Okay. Can you describe him to me? How tall is he? Well, obviously not very tall. No, he'd be about 2.5 feet. He's wearing a Spiderman outfit. Yeah. What kind of hair has he got? He's got dark, sandy coloured hair. It's short, and he's got these big browny green coloured eyes. Okay. And then there's a really long pause. Does he have any shoes on? Do you know any distinguishing features? No, oh, he's got a freckle on the top of his head. You see it when you part his hair on the left-hand side. Yep. You'll see a freckle on the top of his head. Okay, all right. Silence. Do you know where he might have gone? We actually live, Mum's property is near a state forest. Okay. And the huge box. We've walked up and down Benneroon Drive and we can't find him. Okay, what's his name? William. And then I think there's this, you can hear there's noise in the background, something like voices, perhaps a lady's voice. It's not a child's voice, I don't think. So she's gone. Okay. What's his surname? Tyrrell. Tyrrell. E-double-L. Okay. And has he been known to sort of go anywhere? No, this is the first time. First time. This is out of character. There wasn't anyone suspicious in the area? No. No. Well, no. Not that I'm aware of. I was out there talking with Mum and my other daughter, so, okay. And we heard him roaring around the garden, and then I thought, oh, I haven't heard him. I better go check on him. Okay. And, alright, can't find him. Well, we'll send some police to see you at Benaroon Drive in Kendall. We'll also get, thank you, a message broadcasted to all the cars to keep a lookout for him as well, okay? Okay, thanks. Bye-bye. Bye. Hangs up. So, okay, your son's missing, he's 3.5, great. Then she relays the address, and it's 48 Benaroon Drive in Kendall. So the operator has found this on the map, and you can see that you turn off Batar Creek Road, you go across, past the street called Allendale with an E crescent, and there's a funny curve in the road, and on the right hand side there's 48 Benaroon Drive. But because I guess she's going to be talking the emergency services, the police, into the area, she needs to know, okay, you're looking out for this cross street, there's the property, this is just standard procedure. When the foster mother doesn't know, she's not saying, well, here's my mother, I'll just ask her. So, perhaps grandmother, who's 81 at the time of inquest, or maybe at the time William went missing, maybe she's out talking to the neighbour in front. Maybe that's the voices that I could hear. It was like a lady's voice. There was something. But, she doesn't think, look, I'll ask my mother. She goes to go out to ask the neighbour down on the street what's the nearest bloody cross section. Personally, I would be saying, look, I don't know. You do go past the street, and then there's our house on the right. Look, how long is this going to be? But she's like, oh, I'll just go down and ask the neighbour what's the name of the street. She's not sure about the times, and we are not sure, when she's looked in the bush, how long she's been searching for, and whether the foster father really is here or not at the time, because the way things are spoken, at some points, I'll try and talk about later, but the foster father has said he gets home and she's on the deck, and then 5 minutes later they call, because it had been 5 minutes since she hadn't seen him, so that's sort of a 10-minute time frame, but we don't know when he got home. Another time she says she decided to call the police was when she's standing in a paddock with the foster father and thinks, and he can't remember did they talk about it or not, but off she goes to call the police. So anyway, they, move past this idea of what the cross street is, and she asks her specifically, what is a description of William, and she just describes his hair and the colours of his eyes, and she's asked, because she hasn't mentioned footwear, she says a Spiderman outfit, but she doesn't say, oh, and no shoes, or he's got shoes on, or he's, anything like that. And this is important. So the O operator asks her specifically, does he have any shoes on? Now, I think this is flummoxed foster mother, because I think she's not prepared. She doesn't quite know what she is supposed to say here. She can't remember if she's supposed to say he's wearing his shoes or not. She doesn't just say, oh my God, oh look, let me think. Did I put them on in the morning? We took them off when we were on the deck, or I can't remember if I put his shoes back on when he was playing outside. you know, she glosses over it. She comes up with this damn freckle on his head, right? And she sounds strange when she says this. So I just think this is a bit weird. And then, you know, talking about the huge blocks and everything. But there was a neighbour that was mowing his section at the time. I think she would have heard the neighbour's lawnmower and things like that. But the blocks, the reason why she's mentioning the size of the blocks is that, I'll come to that later, it's about the cars that she later says she saw in the driveway. Because she's then asked specifically, have you seen anything suspicious, you know? And this is when she should be saying, well, you know, there were some cars here that I didn't recognise. It was weird. The blocks are so big. I don't know why they would park on the street when you can drive up to someone's house so that you're not walking a ways up to the house. Because, you know, in semi-rural areas and everything, the blocks tend to be quite large. They're a few acres or, you know. But, you know, she emphatically says, no, didn't see anything weird. She later puts words into the foster daughter's mouth about her saying, Mummy, what is that strange car doing? Or something like this. Okay. The operator says, you know, we'll send some police to you to Benaroon Drive. She doesn't say, look, how long are you going to be? I'm really worried because this is the middle of nowhere and he's not around, you know. She just goes, okay, bye-bye, and disconnects the phone when the operator says bye. Okay? You know, where is the daughter when, you know, okay, I'm going to tell you some things she says in the inquest about making this phone call. And then I'll say some other things. Let me find here. Yeah, so she's saying she's going around the, you know, there was no wind, no birds. All I could think of is, why I can't hear him. I can't hear a thing, she told the court. She says she frantically searched around every property on the street, but could not remember if she door-knocked neighbours. I remember saying to people, I am looking for a little boy in a Spiderman suit. Have you seen him? His name is William. After searching the area, I walked back up Benaroon Drive and I went inside the mother's house and called the police. I remember thinking, he's not here. I have to call the police. I went inside and grabbed the cordless phone and called 000, and I stood exactly in the same spot where I last saw him, she said, wiping tears away. Standing in the same spot you last saw William, but was that when you were on the deck with your grandmother before you went in to make the tea? Did you walk out to the deck? Who's looking after the daughter at this time? Did you walk out to the front yard because you said he was playing in the front yard and he was on his bike, rah, and everything, you know? Or the last time you saw him was in the house, right there near the cordless phone. I mean, I guess it's a cordless phone. So, you know, she could have moved around. You know, at one point, she's told the story, you know, okay, so the foster father, at one stage at the cases, you know, William had been, you know, missing for about 5 minutes. The father had texted to say, I'm on my way, I'm 5 minutes. He arrived, she's just sitting on a deck chair, and then 5 minutes later they call the police. But then another story, before he already comes home, she's already searched quite frantically, and she's in a paddock when he comes. They're both in a paddock together when she decides to go in and make a call. But, you know, she's searched for 20 minutes? Is it 30 minutes? And some of the stories are about her, you know, first she drove off in a car, then she walked the route, then she went back out and saw the neighbour Anne-Marie. And at the inquest she says, when a child hurts themselves unexpectedly, there's a scream. And it felt like a scream. It was quick, and it was high-pitched, and it was sharp, which is why I went into the reeds. I got into the bush, and I thought, I can't see any red. I thought maybe I imagined it, maybe it was a bird, and I just walked back. You know, so the forest here, the bush, it's very overgrown. It is reedy because it's marshy, it's viney, it's very thick. It would be very impossible to walk through easily, especially for a little boy. You would not get far. And this area has been thoroughly searched, and years later, thoroughly searched. So, you know, she doesn't know if he's wearing shoes. He's wearing this iconic outfit that she can look out for, the red suit sort of thing. All during this time, there's no mention of, okay, but where, you know, and I made sure, where is my where is the foster child, the daughter? But later, right, okay, she's told the O operator that she has seen nothing suspicious. But then later, you know, she's seen this grey car and this white station wagon. They're parked in the driveway. She thought it was very, very odd, and they didn't belong. And there was another car that drove up into an empty house next door. And in one session, she says she couldn't tell who it was. In another, she says it was clear glass. She could see straight through at him. He was driving with intent, and the way he looked, and he was 50. She basically describes Frank Abbott. And why was I telling you this bit about the cars? You know, when she's trying to say that there were cars in the street and everything, I mean, she's trying to say, you know, there's a pedophile ring that has taken him, but she starts to say, oh, you know, she thought they were there for both of the kids. Because I think she realises, if this is a biological parent, so why would they just take William? And William's supposedly playing out there with the young daughter. Why would it just be William and not the daughter as well? She never sort of identifies the movements of the grandmother and the daughter when she's telling her stories and things. So you're not quite sure. Well, who was then watching her? Did you grab her and ask her? She doesn't say to the O operator, you know, he was playing with the daughter. She didn't see anything, or, you know, she did see anything. There's nothing. It's so queer. You know, the trip was planned apparently from around September the 8th to go up and to help the foster grandmother, because the foster grandmother says, because they were worried that I'd do the wrong thing and wouldn't do it right and would make poor decisions, to sell the home and that sort of thing. So they arranged to go up to Kendall to help her with this. And in the meantime, you know, they've been arranging for these people to go around and do trades work, like building decks and repairing washing machines. This is the foster grandmother's contacts and the foster family that are calling these people, getting this done. Now, they weren't going to go up until the Saturday. If the foster grandmother had told some shady people, my foster grandchildren are coming, well, they didn't know they were coming up on that morning that early, the night, but they didn't know they'd be there all day the night before, arriving on Friday, because that was a spur of the moment thing, apparently, to leave on Friday instead of the Saturday. But I guess if there's these cars just waiting outside since about 7:30, I guess they're just watching for the arrival. foster mother told the court at the inquest how she thought it was odd that the two cars were parked across the road. And, you know, there's a forensic psychologist saying, well, I mean, I guess she could have an implanted false memory. The foster grandmother, she was asked, well, who can you name? She could only name Peter across the road, a neighbour who, well, he keeps odd hours and he lives alone. But then she also said, well, William could have walked down to the highway. She thought there was, you know, lots of traffic going back and forth then. And, you know, so on one hand, we've got foster father. He's saying, in the police walkthrough, it was like kind of a walkthrough. He was never interviewed properly, really. There was a walkthrough done 6 days later, and he leads the detective around and up to a wire fence, and the police, you know, saying, so you think it's not likely that William could have gone through here? And he goes, no, too scared, you know, this sort of thing. Making, you know, they're always making William out to be reserved and cautious and things like this. You know, why would the foster grandmother then think that maybe this little kid's walked all the way out of this area that goes into the National Forest and back out to the highway to be snatched from there? If he's not even going to climb a fence, he's certainly not going to go into deep, you know, tangly bush. Yeah, so it's just very odd. For years we didn't have the footage from McDonald's at Heatherbrae. It turned up, you know, during the inquest. We're showing it, and it does seem to show the family there at McDonald's Heatherbrae from 6:20 to 6:35. It's a 2-hour, 2-minute drive to Benaroon Drive, 48 Benaroon Drive from Heatherbrae McDonald's, and yet there is some missing time. They say after this, they didn't take advantage of the toilets there at McDonald's to put pull-ups on the children. Apparently they just stopped on the side of the road after they left McDonald's and put pull-ups on the children. Now this would take, let's say, 5 minutes, okay? Stop the car, get out, find the pull-ups from the bag, change the kids, you know, 5-10 minutes max. But they state they got to Kendall and put the kids straight to bed. So it was 9:05, William in one room, the daughter in the other. So, you know, even if it was 10 minutes, there's 25 minutes missing. You know, they don't tell the story of, well, what happened when they arrived to Benaroon Drive. That, you know, was William a street? What did they, you know, was the greeting grandmother, putting things away, getting bikes out of the car, anything like this. It's just, that's the story. Made a stop, put pull-ups. You know, not that any of the children felt sick, they were sick. Anything like that. I mean, they've just eaten. They're not stopping for a pit stop for thirstiness or to give them food, anything like that. They're just putting pull-ups on. You know, this isn't complicated because these aren't, you know, and they're not babies. They're, you know, they were 3 and 5, I think. So what happened in this extra time? You know, we don't know when the foster father left. We're not sure when he got back. Sure, he would have made a Skype call because the police would be able to check that. But when did he arrange that, to do that? Did he decide he needed to make a call that morning, then tried to do it and decide it was too noisy? You know, because the foster grandmother said that William was full of beans that morning. He was jumping out of his skin. You know, what happened en route? What happened that morning? Did the foster father take William with him when he left that morning? You know, during the police media interview that was released, one of them, the foster father says, yes, 10:15, that William supposedly went missing. The mother goes, no. And yet she has said 10:15 at one point, 10 o'clock, all these other times, but now it's not, because every time she comes up with a new bit of a story, she has to change the timeline and everything to fit the story, you know. The pedo ring, so-called, there, you know, has been thoroughly investigated. 2 sites absolutely gone through. Same with around their home. William is not around any of these places. And, you know, so I don't know what the foster father might have done with him if he did take him off that morning. But, you know, if a pedophile ring was watching, well, okay, so you're saying that someone that you've talked to about William coming up to visit knows, and then set this all up in a matter of, you know, few days, and then was watching the house from the morning. I mean, none of the neighbours, and there were 4 neighbours that testified. So, I mean, she hasn't been knocking on very many doors or talking to many people, was she? If there was the one that the grandmother said, oh, I'd be suspicious of Peter and Anne-Marie, it's only 2 more. But they've testified, and in the door knock of the police, no one saw cars parked, as the foster mother attests to. They didn't see them there in the street, when they were leaving for work, dropping kids off to school, anything like that. One of the neighbours got her little toddler to call out William, thinking, well, he might respond to a young child rather than adults calling out for him if he was scared. But, you know, her stories just get more and more wild. That's just what I think. You know, whether she knew anything at the time and now is just, you know, sometimes you think about these wives, they're completely gaslit by their psychopath husbands, and they come to a realization later, right? But, you know, it's just hard to work out what's what, because the 81-year-old grandmother now has dementia. Also, you know, I don't know if it's during the inquest or at the time that William disappeared, but the mother is reported to be 49 years old. Now, that's too old to adopt. Okay, they don't cap it, but it's difficult to adopt a young child, especially, or 2 young children, when you're past a certain age. People that I know of who are just, you know, wife is a, you know, famous publisher in Australia, and husband's successful career. When I was working as a colleague of his, he said, you know, he'd been trying for years. They went through so many hoops trying to get a child, and eventually trying to get a child out of China, only to be told out of, you know, they were too old. And I think they were mid-40s at the time. But they'd tried for 4 or 5 years. Okay, the process had just been very difficult. Maybe they should have gone the foster route. But, you know, told too old to adopt a baby, to adopt a young child. And they were devastated. So, you know, this 49-year-old mother and, you know, her husband, who seems just as old, were they ever going to be able, you know, I mean, does this explain why she hasn't adopted the foster daughter? Because she's not allowed to? She's too old? That doesn't seem right, does it? Why would she still have her then? It seems like it's all to protect her own identity, their own identities. And other people's names and reputations have been thrown on out there. The biological parents, you know, thrown on out there. They've actually been cleared by the police, the biological parents. Anyway, so there's what she said on the 000 call. She didn't sound frantic at all. She really wasn't frantic at all. Yeah, the foster father. So a video was played in court of the police interview with the foster father, taken almost a week after the toddler vanished from his foster grandmother's home. This was the first interview with him, by the way. It's like an oversight. They forgot to do it, or maybe they did another interview after this. But the walkthrough, it shows him leading a detective to a wire fence at the edge of the Benaroon Drive property, and telling the officer it would be too hard for William to climb over it. I've seen this interview. He knows his limitations. He has asthma and he would start coughing. He never wanders. He's not a wanderer. He just doesn't do it. The detective says, would this be too daunting for William? Yep, too hard. Yeah. Anyway, I'll go and have a little lie down again now. But there's lots I want to say about that, you know, but just thinking about, you know, what do you think about what she says about the shoes? Because as you'll discover earlier, I'll talk a bit more about things like this in another video. The shoes, to me, I mean, okay, this is all just my opinion. Look, they can be as innocent as anything. I know that. But to me, it just seems, because the shoes are important, and it's questioned later, there's some odd things about William and his lack of shoes or shoes. And when she's asked this, it's like, oh, I just wanted to tell you, well, he's a little boy, he's 3.5, and he's in a Spiderman suit outfit. You know, it's like that's what she expects to say. And it's kind of taking her aback about the shoes. So she sort of jumps over that and latches on to this other thing the operator Simone has said about, you know, distinguishing features. You know, maybe meaning, well, you know, he's chubby, or he's, you know, something that you can quickly get a visual on, not like this hidden freckle. But, you know, she's asking specifically about shoes. This is important. And I feel like foster mother is off guard. She thinks, oh, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say here. Was he in shoes? Was he not in shoes? If you just can't remember if you've put your little kid in shoes that morning, I mean, you would. You'd know. Or you might say, look, I put him in shoes, but he often tears them off. I haven't seen them anywhere. But she should have been able to say, no, I've seen his shoes on the deck. So, or he took them off when he was playing in the driveway, because while I was searching, I found them. So he's not in his shoes. Or look, he's definitely in his shoes. I put them in them and they're not here. So, you know, I think he's still wearing his shoes. I think that is strange. I really do. I just think it's strange. Parents out there, let me know. Because, you know, foster mother's been out looking around. She's been asking people about William, you know, William in the Spiderman suit. It's like they're just planting this image and this idea. And this, it's basic, right? It's basic. But you put a kid in shoes or you don't. And he either tears them off when kids, I know they take their shoes off. They decide to take their shoes off. You ask them to take them off when they come inside. But, you know, ostensibly, you know, he's supposedly out there playing. He's been on a bicycle. You know, if you put shoes on him, you know, if he's taken them off and you can see them, something. But I think she'd have something to say about that. She would say, look, I don't know if he's still got his shoes on. I didn't see if he's taken them off anywhere, but he's got these little blue sand shoes, and he could be on those. So there's blue sand shoes with a white sole, you know. Or no, he's not in his shoes. That they're here on the deck. I didn't dress him in the shoes, or whatever, right? Anyway, I'm homesick today. I was supposed to be at work. This has really finished me off, just even talking for this long. So I'll leave it there. I'll run out of time anyway. Yeah, so I will talk to you later. We'll carry on with yeah, talking about this disappearance. Do you think something happened en route to Kendall? There is 30 minutes unaccounted for in my mind. Do you think the foster father took William? Did he, the dogs actually were not outside the house. That is a false idea planted by just fake press or whatever, stupid press, etc. But the dogs actually didn't send him up to the perimeter